good evening, viewers. Welcome to Space Oddities. Welcome to our special second anniversary extravaganza. Sorry, we were a little late starting. We had a bit of a technical problem, but it's resolved now. So here we are, 2 years on. This is our second anniversary show. We actually made our first live stream on Space Oddities exactly 2 years ago yesterday. So we have a special show lined up for you tonight. More details of that later, but basically we'll be having a prize draw where you can win a wonderful Space Oddities t-shirt and some other lovely prizes. I'll be giving you details of how to enter that draw a little later. We will make the draw towards the end of the program. And before we go any further, let's see who's around tonight. Hello, Daz. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. As I said a little bit earlier on, that new intro took me back to the Blitz. I can remember it well.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and we got Roger.
Good evening. Happy birthday.
Happy second birthday. Absolutely.
Cake. We want cake.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have done a cake, definitely. And we've got Rachel joining us. Rachel's been unable to join us recently because of work and baby commitments, but she's dropped in tonight for the occasion. Thank you for being here, Rachel.
It's okay. I can live a bit fast and loose during half term.
Oh, is it half term?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh,
I do think it's our birthday. We should have all done a cake smash, and we should have all won.
Exchanged recipes.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be like Bake Off.
And we got Michael.
Hi there, Michael. I'm fine, thank you.
Michael is actually modelling the Space Oddities t-shirt, which you will have a chance to win later. Not his, obviously. We wouldn't force that on anybody. Or at least it's been washed anyway, but several times. But yes, we'll give you a chance to win that t-shirt, or indeed the older design t-shirt. We'll give you a choice of which design you would like if you want to enter the draw. All the way from the States, we have Lou. How are you, Lou?
Yes, I am well. I'm safely tucked away across the water in a country where we pronounce words correctly.
Ooh.
I can talk already.
All right. We
already
talk
started.
proper England. We talk proper England.
Do you spell them correctly as well, Lou?
Well, I can't. Not everything.
There you are. There you are. You don't speak English proper like what we does. Definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly. And joining us after too long an absence is Bernard. That's your name, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Nice
Thank
to
you,
see you,
Andy.
Bernard.
Oh, come on. I'm just super busy with work. I really apologize, but I couldn't miss the second year anniversary, and so I'm really excited to be here tonight.
And we're excited to have you. Bernard recently started a new job as a science writer, so congratulations on the new job, Bernard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Very happy for you. Okay, right. So just let me go through a couple of things, usual housekeeping stuff. So if you would like to support us, you can, of course, donate money directly to Space Oddities by buying a so-called super chat. You'll see that option there in front of you on the screen. If you would like to buy us coffee, which we always need, we're always in dire need of coffee, you can click this QR, or scan this QR link, I should say, which will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee page for Space Oddities, and any donations for coffee are gratefully appreciated because it helps to keep the show on the road and hopefully keep us afloat for another 2 years. Of course, we have the merchandise that we were talking about earlier. This is the latest design, one of which you can win tonight, the Space Oddities Summer Season 2024 t-shirt. And all t-shirts are £20, but that does include UK postage and packing. So it's a good deal. High quality t-shirts. This design is only available in black, but I think it would look not so good in other colours anyway. So it's a good colour to have. And just again, scan the QR link if you'd like to buy a Space Oddities t-shirt. If you look in the chat, there will be a link that's just popped up in the live chat. As well, if you want to click that instead of scan the code. We've also got the old design t-shirt available. This one is available in 10 colors, and that's the old design t-shirt. Same thing applies, £20 including UK postage and packing. We've got the same designs available in a lapel design where you just have the Space Oddities logo, if you like, or design on the lapel. We also have the Space Oddities hoodie. These are again with the new design. They're available in black. Hoodies are £40, but again that includes UK postage and packing. And we've got the same thing, but with the old design. Now, if you're ordering from overseas, then please add £10 to the total value of your order to cover the extra postage. If you want to look at all the merchandise in one place, then you can scan this code for the Space Oddities shop, where you can browse at your leisure. And there we are. And again, links to all of these should have just popped up in the live chat. So here we are at 2 years old. First of all, I'd like to ask the panel, does anybody have any reflections about being 2 years old, about us reached 2 years? Any thoughts, anybody?
Oh, it's been an amazing experience, especially with the technology. Because if you remember, we started with Zoom and we had fun and games with that. So then we went to Restream and we had fun and games with that. They've just recently changed it, so that's given us a little bit more to think about. But no, it's also been nice to be with like-minded people. And also we've kept loyal viewers. So we must, they're like old friends. So it must be like, we must be doing something right.
Absolutely.
It's I think for us really, it's just onwards and upwards. It's and we just need people to engage with us, ask us questions, and we'll see what we can do. And if you wish you want to come and join us, then please send in a perspective.
Absolutely. Yes, we are always looking for people to join us on Space Oddities to help us out, to create some content. So if that sounds like you, then please drop us a line. Our email address, as always, is spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. That's spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. And if you would like to be a part of the team at Space Oddities and help us create stuff, don't forget the live stream is not all we do. We have 250 odd videos on the channel that we have created, everything to do with space exploration, astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology. It's all there on the Space Oddities YouTube channel, because we do all share a passion for telling people about the wonderful, amazing, mysterious universe that they live in, and that's our passion, and that's what we do. So if you would like to join us, if you have that passion to tell people about their universe, then please send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Any other thoughts?
I'm mirroring what Daz just said. It's good to be part of a team like this, and it's good that we keep our regular viewers as well. So
absolutely, obviously, we need to say a big thank you to all our viewers, whether they are regular or not. Anybody who watches us, we are very grateful for your time, because we know how much other stuff there is out there to devote your time to. And these days, people do have less and less time, it seems. So we do appreciate every single second that you spend with us. And we really like to say thank you to all of you for supporting us over the last 2 years. And we hope you'll continue to do so for not just the next 2, but the next 20.
If we can hang on. But the thing is, you've just got to look at us, and it's just wall to wall eye candy, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well
said, Daz.
There's got to be a calendar in the making somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we do basically look like we've stepped out of a Freeman's catalogue for men here. But there we are. I'm not wearing the flares tonight, by the way.
I'd just like to say to the viewers as well, Andy, just wanted to ask people if they like what they see here, why not tell their friends all about us and get us known elsewhere? Spread the word about us, get more viewers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pay them a couple of pounds to log in. Just, anything you can do to help us.
Yeah.
Spread the word. We know we can count on you.
Yeah, so tell them the super chats like a bingo thing. They could win a prize at the end of it.
Because in my experience, especially at work, you never know which other people are actually interested in the universe. I mean, closer to home, I only found out last week that my next door neighbour is crazy about astronomy. He's not long ago bought himself a little telescope, and he wants to know everything about the night sky. So that's absolutely fantastic. Rachel will be popping in and out because she's dealing with little Isaac. So don't worry, it's not a technical time. So Lou, as an American, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was just thinking, I'm about to start my new semester at Marymount, where I teach, and I begin each semester telling the class that the universe is going to be very different by the end of the semester. We will know so much more. We'll have so many more questions. It'll be, it just changes so fast, which is one reason I don't use a textbook, because it's kind of out of date the day it's printed.
Yeah.
And one of the things we're going to be highlighting in the show today is how much all the new discoveries, all the new space exploration events in just the last 2 years, which doesn't really feel like 2 years, but it's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. And one of the best things about, well, not just astronomy, but all science is you never know what's around the corner. And that's what makes it exciting. Because many of the greatest discoveries ever made have been quite accidental rather than sort of as planned research. So you never know when something completely out of the ordinary and unexpected is going to pop up, because after all, we don't know what we don't know. So
and also where it's going to come from, because astronomy pulls in all the sciences together. So I mean, something that could happen on Earth suddenly thinks, oh, hang about, what about up in space? How would that relate to that? So you start, it just pulls everything together, and it's one big happy family.
Definitely.
We get some spats, about the steady state and the expanding universe and all that, but it just adds to the flavor.
No, that's science for you.
Exactly.
If we stopped having that, it would be the end of science. Bernard, have you got any thoughts about 2 years of Space Oddities?
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm just amazed that there's a small team, and unfortunately I just have not been able to participate recently, but you guys as a small team have managed to hold on the fort and carry on going week after week after week, whether it rains or shines. There's always this, an episode, a season, not a season. You're always doing a show every single week, and I think that's amazing. And I think you should definitely,
thank you.
You should definitely be applauded for that, because sometimes I'm like, okay, right, I don't have anything on Tuesday. Great, I know I can always join here, and it will always be on. And just for that, I think it's just amazing. The participation rate has been phenomenal for the last 2 years, and here's for another 2 years.
Well, thank you.
Well done, guys.
No, thank you very much.
And not just Tuesdays. I mean, I haven't been able to attend many of these, but the rest of you have. Every time there's an important launch or an important event, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 2 in the morning or whatever it is. Space Oddities covers it.
Totally.
Yeah, we certainly try to do our best.
Oh God, what was that one recently where we were in the middle of the night?
And then they cancelled it. That was a star.
Was it Starliner?
Yeah.
Starliner,
Yeah, the first attempt and all that.
Yeah.
We got down to 2 hours, and then they cancelled it, and it was too late to go to bed.
Yeah,
it's too late to go to bed.
Thanks for that, Boeing. But anyway, just before we forget, the latest news on the Starliner is that they're still planning to launch on June the 1st. It's not worth placing any bets on whether that will actually happen, because we know from experience it might well not. But anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later. Yeah. So what else have we got on tonight's show? Well, we've got the usual sections, but a few different things tonight. Roger is going to be kindly showing us a selection of the best images from our gallery contributors that in his esteemed opinion, are some of the best that our contributors have done. So we've got that to look forward to. We'll also be asking here I'll be asking everybody what their favourite news story of the last 2 years has been. It's been a difficult decision, I know, because as you know from the news that we do every week, there's been, and as Lou was saying, a phenomenal amount of news every week. We don't have time to cover half of it, if that, every week. But I'll be asking the panel for their favourite news stories. So, viewers, if you have a favourite news story relating to astronomy, space exploration, anything to do with the universe, if you have a favourite news story of the last 2 years, put it in the chat and we'll talk about it, because we'd like to know your favourite stories, obviously. So while you're thinking about that, I think the best thing to do is to go in time-honoured fashion straight over to Roger. And Roger is going to talk about the night sky and the current gallery and tell us what, in his opinion, are some of the best images that our contributors have sent in over the last 2 years. So without more ado, I'm going to hand you over to Roger. So what's going on in the sky, Roger?
Well, there we are. You will see all in good time. And here we are for this coming week. I did manage to get up extra early yesterday because the sky was clear for a change, and quickly grabbed this. And then before that, we've got some of our old sunspot groups. The one over on the eastern side at the sort of the 10 o'clock position with a close-up is our old friend 3663.
Yep.
And as of today, we've got 3664 now appearing. And that's the one that gave us all the excitement. But Daz will be giving more information on the outstanding, phenomenal output that it's still giving today.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're into the waning phase of the moon, with the last quarter through to the weekend, and also beginning of June. And of course, in about 3 weeks' time later this week, we'll have the longest day of the year. So there we go. So as of 11 o'clock, I put it on a bit later due to the lack of astronomical darkness. Now we are starting to get the summer triangle into the sky now, and all well and good with that. So just after midnight, about 1 o'clock, we will also be seeing the galactic core. So Milky Way season for viewing the galactic core is becoming a bit more accessible, rather than waiting till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So all well and good there. And of course, as we get through to the twilight and just before sunrise, we have the planetary lineup of Saturn, Mars, Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, and Venus all coming up. Well, Venus is especially close to the sun at the moment, so not much chance of seeing that, but you might just about grab it. But
aren't they calling this the Planet Parade or something?
Yeah,
something
they
like
are. But with it being so close to sunrise, you're not going to get a chance really at all to see it. And you obviously, because they're so close to the sun, it's just too dangerous to even try to find where some of them are.
Good advice.
Unfortunate. But as you can see, through the week, you can see Mercury overtaking Uranus, heading towards Jupiter. Venus is going to be disappearing by the sun there, so it will come into the evening skies in the next few months. And obviously we've got the moon getting to near its new phase, where it should make an interesting, pretty picture as it gets nearer to that. If anyone's still got a chance to see Comet Obers, it's going to be very difficult now because of the later evenings of sunset and the position of it getting north of Gemini. It's not really going to be very easy to see, but some people may try to watch it. It is still brightening up. Into the middle of June, it will be naked eye visibility, but obviously, being a month on, we're probably not really going to see it very well at all due to the lightness of the sky, unfortunately. But we've got Shunnarson Atlas, which allegedly may be brighter than Venus by the autumn. Fingers
Wow.
crossed.
That'll
And a
be good.
following wind, and I've won the lottery.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's still in Virgo at the moment, so there's still a reasonable chance. But you do need a small telescope or a camera to try and catch it. The tail is getting longer by the week, and hopefully it will be of some interest in the autumn. No doubt the media will be going into a feeding frenzy of how bright and big it will be in the sky, and you'll see it in the daytime and all the rest of it, maybe. But as we'll see, we'll take a look at that at the appropriate time. Right, we've got a very small gallery today. Unfortunately, we've only got 2 contributors, one of which is Jerry's Bode's Galaxy. This is a reprocessed one, obviously, but at least he's contributed it. And look at that.
Nice. That's lovely.
Got lots of details in the arms there.
Yep.
Very good.
Jerry, that's fantastic.
Like a
Very
cat.
good. Very good. Most impressed. Very good. I like that. And we've got one from Mick Dunn. And this is some of the aurora from Burrow Beach in Howth. I'm not sure whereabouts in the country that is, but
That's just outside Dublin.
is it?
Yeah.
Right.
I know it well because I go and see Anne and Mick quite often
Mm.
All right.
and enjoy their
And,
amazing
yeah.
hospitals.
Oh, look at those.
Hey.
Yeah, I know.
It's like something out of the 10 Commandments here.
Wow.
Yeah, Mick, those I said to at the time, these are amazing images, and I think
Yeah.
you're very proud of them. You should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty comes to mind looking at that.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, a darker sky will give you that extra contrast and coloration there.
Yeah,
Okay.
amazing.
Right. So, here we go. Right. Now, these are just some selections from myself of what our contributors over the past 2 years have given us. This is only a selection, and if I put everything in from all the images, we'd be here till probably Christmas seeing them all. But I've only picked a handful from each because we do have quite a few contributors. And this is one from Chris O'Riordan.
Mm.
And,
That's nice.
hmm,
Very nice.
sorry, a starless image of the Pac-Man, I think, that one. Is that right? I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like
Anyway, yes. Now, one from Dave Garside, and he was up in Manchester. And these are some of his from up in the Midlands there, of the California, the Horsehead, and the Whirlpool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very good.
Mm.
Hmm. And somebody called Daz. Hmm.
Mhm.
So we've got one of a comet.
Oh yeah.
One of the fuzzy green one there from,
Yeah.
and an image of the moon. Now, I know you've put more in, Daz, but I think Rachel had quite a few of those to deal with. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to get too many of those. But,
Oh no, that's fine. I didn't expect any in at all, to be quite honest. Thank you.
all right. Here's some various views that Jerry DeLay has put in.
They're stunning,
over
aren't
the
they?
years.
My goodness.
Amazing there,
They
Yeah.
are amazing.
especially the rosette and the veil there as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
veil's lovely.
Amazing,
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah. And there's one from Graham
Oh,
of
Graham. Graham
some
with the sun.
sunspots. Yes.
Yeah. Nice detail.
Yeah,
Lovely.
very good. And one from Keith Maslin. They got a lovely detailed picture of the Crab Nebula there.
That is
Yeah,
very
lovely.
detailed, isn't it?
I don't know how he's managed to do that, but it's rather good, I thought.
Yeah, you
To
can
say
see
the least.
those. You can see those.
All
That detail on the sun as well. So
yeah, done
Amazing.
well there.
images. Yeah.
Very good. And Kevin,
Oh,
I thought-
Kev has submitted so many fantastic images.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a job to do, but just a variety of different ones, not only as solar as well. Very good.
with the
Outstanding.
filament details, lovely.
Yeah, and the tadpoles as well.
Yep.
Tadpole nebula, there's lovely colours with that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
That's a Hubble.
And something from Lee, something recent of the Aurora and the Milky Way, and we've also got the Sol Nebula there as well.
Yeah. Lee likewise has submitted some amazing images.
Yeah.
He does very well.
Is that the galaxy? Is that for Stonehenge? That big stone?
No, that's
No, that's Slatehenge, as he likes to call it.
yeah.
It's
It's
one of
slate quarry.
It's Slate Quarry, yes.
Yeah, that's in Cornwall, isn't it? Lee's
Yep.
in Cornwall.
Yeah,
Lovely.
and deepest dark.
Oh,
So here's one from. This is the Fighting Dragons of Ara. Now, one from
yeah.
Martin. He used a telescope which was in Chile. So
Right.
not from his back garden because we
What
could
the-
never see it from our latitude anyway. But it just shows you what can be accomplished. And he's taken all the stars out of this one as well.
Yeah.
Just trying. Oh, he's just chopped off the dragon's egg just on the bottom there.
Oh
And
yeah.
Of course, you've got that little dragon's egg there as
Yeah.
well. But there we are. And we've got Michael Murphy with the Large Magellanic Cloud when he was down under. We've got the ISS transiting across the sun. So those aren't all sunspots. And then we've got the aurora that we had earlier in the year.
Stunning.
Fantastic. Look at that.
It was almost as good as it was that we had in May.
Yeah.
So ISS
Amazing.
doesn't take more than a couple of seconds, right?
No, it
It-
whizzes
yeah.
across. Yeah, it whizzes across.
It goes across in less than about 5 seconds.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's
So
impressive.
you really need a high frame rate camera to get that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then we've got some from Pete Williamson. But
Lovely.
he chooses to use like a 2-meter telescope because he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you never get the detail and close-ups with
It really does look like
our more modest equipment.
Yeah. Nice one.
But it just shows you how amazing the galaxies and nebulas are in close-up. And some from Rachel and Johnny.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
That one of the horse head I think is my favourite of yours, Rachel.
Absolutely stunning.
We seem to have a colour palette going through here, don't we? That they're all
Yeah.
matching up.
Yeah.
A bit rainbowy.
That's nice. Nothing wrong with rainbows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing wrong with rainbows.
Yeah, Kev,
And,
Kev says ISS transits are usually less than 1 second.
And I got a variety here. One of the a Milky Way shot with the camera, and then we've got some of Pickering's triangle, or whatever it's called, through the eastern and western veil. So, of which I have got a nice 3-foot square aluminium print of to go up on the wall. So,
Oh, nice.
You did
Still
say
armor.
aluminum, didn't you? Pretty
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Thank you.
Right. There's one from Simon Worthington.
That's lovely, isn't it? Colours.
Yeah.
Really electric blue there, isn't it? It's nice.
Yeah, amazing image. It's a NGC number, so it has got no named designation or anything. And a couple of images from Sonia.
Yeah, lovely.
Two
Wow.
of which I think were done with her Sea Star and one with her 10-inch Dob.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's done well as well. And Stephen Warbis, this is his Messier collection
Oh yeah.
with a before processing and after processing.
Wow.
So it just gives you what can be done to get rid of light pollution in the sky. Because
that
you
is
know
That's amazing.
because he's sort of stuck between Liverpool and Manchester, so he's not got too much of a good situation there. But there we go.
Yeah,
we
that takes a lot of planning. That does to get the
It's a lot of work.
especially if you're going to do it all in one night. It can be done at certain times of the year.
Yeah, it's usually
But there
about
is
March
one.
time.
Yeah, I think there's one that we can't catch, or it's very hard to catch because it's very low to the horizon
would that be M7? Because that one's missing from Steve's.
Yeah,
It may be that
possibly.
may be the one. So, but yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. That is. So
Well done, Steve.
Yeah.
That's if you're watching, that's
a
amazing.
messier marathon.
Yeah.
Messier Marathon.
Superb.
Right, so that will conclude all the images that we've had from the various contributors that we've had over the last 2 years.
And we would like to thank you one and all for actually sending in your images. And as we move into the third year of Space Oddities, please keep those images coming in. Please attach them to an email, 1 image per email, please, and mail them to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. If you could put the word gallery somewhere in the title of your email, that means it'll automatically be picked up, filtered, and put in the appropriate place for either Roger or Rachel to pull out. So thank you for that. And we just love looking at your images. We never tire of them. So if you've got anything, even if you're just starting out in astrophotography, but if you've got something you think you'd like to share,
talking about sharing, can I just quickly share this? This is from Ian, and I don't think he needs to give up his day job. I think it's referring to Steve's picture.
Messier than what? Right. Yes, Daz is quite right. Don't give up your day job, Ian. We'll be in touch. So there we are. Yeah. So we even if you, as I said, you're just starting out. If you just got something you want to say, look what I did. We'll be more than happy to include it in the gallery. Put it like this: we've never ever rejected an image from our gallery, we don't want to, because they are universally absolutely brilliant quality of the images we get.
I mean, anything will do. If anything taken with a phone, camera, DSLR, through a telescope. It can be a nightscape with a nice object in the foreground or something. Anything, if it looks really nice, we want to see it.
Yeah,
I might even encourage people to, if you have sketches that you make at the eyepiece, like it was done in the old days, send those in.
Very old school, and a lot of people. And it's surprising how many people still do that.
Yeah.
So fair play to them.
Yeah. Now, talking about, I did ask our viewers what the suggestions for their favourite news stories was. One thing Derek did say, and he's quite right about this, is that we haven't had a quiz for a long time. So we will give some thought to that, Derek, and not next week, but perhaps the week after next we can have another quiz. We'll definitely have a think about that. The reason we don't do them that often, to be honest,
because you don't want my questions.
No, Roger, there is that. We'd never want.
That's your images, Roger.
Again.
No, you haven't. You haven't been to my quiz night.
Yeah.
God, I can only imagine what's that like. It's my wildest nightmares. But seriously, though, the main reason we don't do them very often, Derek, is because not many people tend to watch the videos. We have very poor viewership for quizzes. However, as you are our loyal audience, as you deserve something for sticking with us all this time. So let's tentatively pencil a quiz in for the week after next. Whatever date that is, and we'll sort out who's going to do it and what it will be about. If you remember, the last quiz we had was my sci-fi and astronomy quiz, so I think everybody enjoyed the sci-fi part of it, so we might do something along the same lines again. But yeah, you're quite right, Derek. We haven't had a quiz in a long time, and it's something that we will address for you. Okay, and what else have we got here? Ian says the recent Aurora was a great story. I've got my Incredible Hulk persona back again, I see. The recent Aurora was a great story. The various launches as well. Indeed, we've been rather spoiled with the Aurora recently, but don't forget we've had all sorts of wonderful launches going over the last several weeks or couple of months. There's always something going on, as you know, in space exploration. And of course, we've got a couple of major launches coming up. We've got the fourth orbital attempt of Starship, which is tentatively penciled in for June the 5th.
Mhm.
Again, as always, if we can cover that live on Space Oddities, we'd certainly like to. So we will keep you posted on that one. And because the last flight did not involve any risk to people or property, SpaceX actually don't have to complete the report for the FAA before the FAA grants a license. So it looks like the FAA are going to be quite happy between now and June the 5th to grant the license for the flight. So we'll look forward to that. As I said, the alleged Starliner launch on June the 1st. And, they've made a decision this week that they are going to launch with the helium leak that's been in the news recently. As you may have seen in the news, the Starliner spacecraft itself has sprung a helium leak. Nothing serious, nothing that would probably affect the mission. So rather than spend a long time trying to work out the cause, which they haven't yet, and fix it, they've decided to launch. It's only a tiny helium leak, and it doesn't pose any danger to the crew or the mission, apparently. So there's that coming up. As we know from past experience, though, Starliner actually flying is a very, very rare beast indeed. And every time it has flown, which is twice now, there have been problems. So we will see what happens with that. Rocket Lab recently launched. Did anybody see the Rocket Lab launch?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that was all right. We've got Saxavold coming up, the Saxavold launch, the first launch from the British spaceport in Shetland coming up, hopefully in September. Next week, Michael is going to be telling you all about that and what's going on with the UK space programme in general, including those spaceports that are around the UK. We already have Spaceport Cornwall operational, of course, and now Saxavold is coming online, hopefully in September for the launch, which will be a German rocket by a company called Rocket Factory. They're launching from Shetland in September at the moment, and we've got lots of other launches coming up as well, including the next Polaris Dawn mission sometime in the autumn, I gather, and we'll keep you posted with all of that. So let's move on. What we're going to have a look at now, we'll stay with the theme of images. While we're looking through these, can I just again say to the viewers, if you have any favourite news stories you'd like to mention, please do put them in the chat. There have been some fantastic images in the news this week. The ESA's Euclid Orbiting Observatory has actually come up with some new images. Now, I'll just go through this, and why won't this show? That's interesting. Okay, let's do it another way. 1 second. Okay. So the Euclid telescope is a European telescope, which we've talked about and covered on Space Oddities. It is designed to do a survey of the sky in the quest to understand galaxies, essentially, in relation to dark energy and dark matter. And because it's a survey telescope, it captures relatively large swathes of the sky in every exposure. This means that it's not there to target individual objects. If an object of interest just happens to come up in the area of sky it's surveying, then great. And they've been testing out the optics and the whole system, and they've come up with some lovely images which were released this week. But before we do that, just let me sort myself out, and we'll move on. So the science objectives of Euclid are to understand the cosmic web, that immense universe-wide web of filaments, which is really the basic structure of the universe. Investigate the nature of dark matter, study the expansion of the universe, probe the nature of dark energy, and test Einstein and Newton's gravity. So these are the science objectives. And these are recently released images. This one is star forming region M78, which in M78, which is, I think you'd agree, an absolutely beautiful image. It's an infrared image from the Euclid Observatory, and these are all young stars shrouded in interstellar dust. And as it says, it's unprecedented. It's the first shot of this star forming region at this width and depth. And if you look at the sheer clarity of that image, it just shows how perfectly Euclid is actually working. The next one is one maybe familiar to some of you astronomers, the Abell 2764 galaxy cluster. There are hundreds of galaxies in this image, as well as some background galaxies and some more distant clusters. But it's believed, as all galaxy clusters seem to be, this whole thing is shrouded in a halo of a vast halo of dark matter. So that's a beautiful image of the Abell 2764. And what about this for a shot of a galaxy? NGC 6744. It's one of the largest spiral galaxies beyond our local patch, if you like, and it's it really is an archetypal spiral. In fact, our own Milky Way galaxy would not look too dissimilar to this as seen from a distance, and this is an amazing image from Euclid. Then we have the Dorado group of galaxies. Is one, as you may know, is one of the richest galaxy groups in the southern hemisphere, and you can see a galaxy merger going on here, and with tidal tails and shells and all sorts of lovely detail. It's a lot younger than a lot of other galaxy clusters. Some of its constituent galaxies are still forming stars. Others are in various stages of interacting one another. And there are some that even look as though they've merged, inverted commas, recently. And in size, it does sit between larger galaxy clusters and smaller galaxy groups. So this was an extremely fascinating object to study with Euclid. Of course, you have to remember that all of these Euclid images are one part of a much, much bigger picture that was taken. So this is each one is a sort of a zoomed image because, as I say, Euclid takes exposures of a large area of sky every time it takes an image. So these are all zoomed into particular objects in the image. And here we have a beautiful image of Abell 2390, another galaxy cluster. There are 50,000 galaxies in that image, and this is amazing. Each cluster contains huge amounts of mass, and we're talking maybe up to 10 trillion times the mass of the sun, much of that being in the form of dark matter, of course, which we can't observe directly. And clusters like this are large repositories of dark matter, so these are ideal laboratories to test our theories about dark matter. As you may have seen in the news over the last month or so, there have been a few new studies which seem to indicate that the rival idea to dark matter, which I'm sure Lou would like to tell us about, that is to say MOND, or modified Newton dynamics, taken a few knocks recently with it now looking increasingly unlikely that gravity does behave differently at large distances. So
not necessarily.
Sorry,
we not necessarily. We will discuss.
Okay, good. I'm glad we'll discuss it. Yeah. So there we are. Another news item for you. Wolverhampton Astronomical Society have got Professor Chris Lintott as a speaker on Monday, the 17th of June. And he will be talking on the subject of our accidental universe. Chris, as you know, is a great astronomy communicator and in very entertaining talks indeed. And it's a free public lecture, but you do have to get a ticket in advance. You can do that through the Wolverhampton Astronomical Society website, which is www.wolvas.co.uk. So there we are. Now, I'm going to ask the panel now about their favourite images of the last, or the favourite news stories, I should say, the last 2 years. So I'll start with mine, as I've got this already queued up. My favourite news story of the last 2 years, and God knows I've sifted through a lot of them to bring you the news every week, viewers, but I think the one that is one of the most significant is the unveiling of the image of the black hole at the centre of our Milky Way galaxy. This is Sagittarius A star, as it's called, the asterisk indicating a black hole. And this was actually imaged in 2017 and only recently released. Now, you may say, why did it take so long? Well, as we know from the first image of the black hole ever imaged by the Event Horizon Telescope, that of the black hole in the galaxy M87, there's a lot of supercomputing work that needs to be done on all that radio data received from the vicinity of the black hole. It literally takes years of supercomputers processing that data to come up with the final image. The problem with Sagittarius A star at the center of our galaxy, it's a lot smaller than the M87 black hole. And whereas with M87, because the black hole is so large, the matter swirling around it does so in terms of weeks or maybe even months. The movement of material around Sagittarius A star at the center of our galaxy can be measured in hours. So this is like trying to take an image of a moving car. If you're not careful, it'll blur. And that's exactly the problem that they had trying to get a non-blurry image of Sagittarius A star. And it took a lot longer than the M87 image to process to end up with this final image. And the first thing that struck me was how similar the black hole at the center of our galaxy, a supermassive black hole with 4 million times the mass of our sun, and the black hole at the center of M87, which is much bigger and weighs in at about 55 million times the mass of our sun. So it's a lot bigger and a lot more mass. And if you compare the two side by side, then you can see that, in fact, they are remarkably similar. Now, with the M87 star image on the left, the white areas you see in the image are due to what's called Doppler beaming, where matter that is moving towards us glows brighter than matter that's moving away from us. You've got the same thing for Sagittarius A star, but because this is very much more a composite image of data taken over a few nights, you see a recurrence of these white spots, so they may or may not be there at the time, as it were. However, the essential features of this swirling cloud of plasma around the black hole superheated up to millions of degrees. You've got the black area in both of them in the middle. This is not the black hole itself, but this is an area around the black hole where there cannot be any photons, because any photons that go any closer to the black hole are immediately pulled into it. So that is the area where there is a complete absence of photons of any wavelength. And the black holes themselves, well, obviously you can't see them because they're black, but they occupy maybe a little over a third of that black area in the middle in terms of size in both of them. And another major discovery was made from both of these black holes. First of all, from M87 star, that the radio light that was detected by the Event Horizon Telescope, this worldwide array of radio telescopes linked together to create a virtual radio telescope the size of the Earth, which is what you need to look at something this small in the sky and that far away, is that radio light is heavily polarized. And when they process the data for polarized light, you see what happened. These are more or less tracing the magnetic field lines around the black hole. So we are now learning about the magnetic field around both M87 star and Sagittarius A star. And again, it's amazing how similar those magnetic fields look. They both have a sort of a similar configuration. If they had been remarkably different, I think a lot of questions would have been asked. But as you can see, even though there's a big difference in size and mass between the two black holes, they are remarkably similar. And I think this augurs well for future images of supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies. But really, I think we can expect the same thing. And both of these objects are obviously laboratories for studying physics in extremis. So there you have it. So that's my nomination for my favorite news story. out of many that have been in the last 2 years.
Andy,
Mm.
with those polarized images,
Mm.
does that mean that one's rotating clockwise and one anti-clockwise?
That would depend very much of which way up the image is. So I honestly can't answer that.
All right.
It could do, but we don't know that they're both orientated the same way.
All right.
Yeah, of course. With this, I mean, we were all stunned with the images that they finally came up with, but it's actually also what makes it more astounding is the story behind it and how they did it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight.
No.
And it was, the whole story is absolutely fantastic.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, the Event Horizon Telescope was more than 10 years in
Yeah.
the making. There we are. Right, now before we go on to the next bit, because I'm going to ask the panel what their favourite stories have been, I'm going to give you the details now to give you time to enter for entering our prize draw. Now, what we're going to do, we're offering a few prizes: third prize, second prize, and first prize. The winners of third and second prize will each receive. How many are we going to send them, Daz? Do we work out?
3.
3. Each of the third and second prize winners will receive 3 NASA Solar System travel posters. If you haven't seen these are posters produced by NASA as if various destinations in the solar system were being advertised on travel posters. And they're really, really good. And it's not, they do travel posters for all sorts of objects in the night sky, but the planetary ones are especially good. So if you win the third prize, we'll send you 3 of those. And if you win the second, we'll send you 3 of those as well. The first prize is the Space Oddities 2024 t-shirt. If you would like to win any of those prizes, so we'll be drawing 3 prizes out of the hat towards the end of the program. All you need to do is to send an email now to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. That's spaceodditieslive, all one word, obviously, at gmail.com. Please, in your email, can you just title your email prize draw? And in the body of the email, can you just put your first name and last name? So that rather than try and identify you from your email address, which may be different to your name, we know your actual name. So once again, send an email in now to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. And if you could entitle the email prize draw, and in the email put your first name and last name, and then we will pull 3 out of the hat towards the end of the program. And good luck. That's all I want to say. Okay, so let's ask the panel about the last 2 years. What's been in the news that you've been most impressed with? Let's go to Lou first. What about you, Lou?
Well, it's I'm not sure how much press this got, but it should have received a lot of press because it's a big story. It's a bit of a complicated story as well.
Right.
Can you start my slide?
Yeah,
there?
sure. Just give me 1 second, and we'll there we are.
There we go. So, as I say, this is a story that I don't think got a lot of press. It's a James Webb Space Telescope story, but its implications are enormous. So I'm going to kind of walk through the details and a little bit of the history of how this came to be and why it's so important. And I know we have great, very knowledgeable audiences. And I'm hoping that, because this is a challenge for this planetary scientist as well, hoping that you all can pull together with this. So this is called the Hubble tension story. And the story has the James Webb Space Telescope images at the center. So I want to start with back about 100 years ago, and here's our good friend Edwin Hubble. Here he is showing an image of what was then thought to be the Andromeda Nebula. Right? We're certain that there's one galaxy in the whole universe. And now we know it's the Andromeda Galaxy, thanks to the work that Hubble did and others. And the rest of these pictures are the 100-inch Hooker reflector on Mount Wilson that he used to make his observations. And there you even see a picture of him making observations of these faraway galaxies. Now, what he came up with, this is kind of just a refresher. What he came up with was the Hubble diagram, is named after him. And he noticed that galaxies were moving away from us, and that the further away they were, the faster they were moving. So here's a little plot of some of those galaxies. This is not his original plot. But on the y-axis, we have velocity, how fast they're moving away in kilometers per second. And on the x-axis, we have their distance in megaparsecs. And you'll recall that a parsec is 3.26 light years. So, you can kind of, more or less fit a line to that, right? So actually, let me go back quickly. The slope of this line is the Hubble constant. All right, the slope of that line is the Hubble constant. And so over the years, there's been a lot of effort to define the Hubble constant by looking at other galaxies and using other techniques to figure out how far away they are and at what speed they're receding. And here's just a little plot of some of those efforts, starting out in the 1920s, where the Hubble constant was as high as maybe 600, which, by the way, would imply that the universe is only about 1.5 billion years old. With better techniques and instruments and looking at more galaxies and better methods, all this kind of thing, eventually you can see that the value for the Hubble constant is kind of settling in at, between 50 and 100. Okay.
I was going to say, Lou, those early error bars are enormous, aren't they?
Well, what I find interesting is that, yes, some of the error bars are enormous, but some of the values up at around 600 don't have very large error bars. So
Yeah.
hard to understand, but that's what science is. It just take more observation.
That one with the huge error bar is more commonly known as a guess.
There you go. Two very fairly large error bars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
2 of them, yeah.
all right. So all right, that's interesting. What's the big deal? Well, it turns out that there are different ways to find out what the Hubble constant is. And I'm going to tell you why this is important in a minute. One way you can do it is to look at Cepheid variables in galaxies. And a Cepheid variable is a star that kind of gets brighter and not as bright. It kind of grows and shrinks, and its brightness changes over periods of days. And it turns out that there's a relationship between the period of its brightening and dimming and its actual luminosity, its actual brightness. So if you observe a Cepheid variable in a distant galaxy, you see how fast it's pulsating, you can know how bright it is. And then if you see how dim it looks, you can know how far away it is. So Cepheid variables, also called one of our standard candles, to give us values of about a Hubble constant of about 73, okay? Then there is the tip of the red giant branch. These are newly formed red giant stars. And if you look at them, they also have very well-known brightnesses, and get a sense for how far away galaxies are that have these stars. You're more kind of around 70 or so. And then if you use the lambda cold dark matter from a model from the cosmic microwave background, you get a figure for the Hubble constant of 67 plus or minus. So what's the value, right? Something's wrong. Something needs to be dealt with. And let me show you why this is important. Okay, now just don't hate me when I bring this up. I'll walk you through it. Don't hate me.
As if we would.
As if you would. You can And you can quietly hate me, but not outwardly. All right. Let's go through this. As I mentioned, the Hubble constant is just the slope of that line of velocity versus distance. And that's, you know that. What's the slope of a line? It's y over x, right? And in this case,
I knew
y
that.
is velocity and x is distance. Okay. Well, what are the units of velocity? Kilometers per second, right? And what are the units of distance? Megaparsecs. So the Hubble constant is actually a term whose units are distance over time over distance. And if you do your little algebra tricks, you find out that the units of the Hubble constant are 1 over t, 1 over time. So then if I take 1 over the Hubble constant, the units are time in units of seconds. And this time is the age of the universe. So here's why it's important. If you have a Hubble constant of 67.5, that gives you an age of the universe of 13.8 blah, 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 giga-years, billion years. But if your Hubble constant is 73, then the age of the universe is only 12.7 something giga-years. So how old really is the universe? Well, Hubble Space Telescope has, a number of years ago, tried to look at Cepheid variables in very distant galaxies and watch their blinking and see how bright they appeared and derive a distance to those galaxies. But it did so in the visible part of the spectrum, which Hubble is very good at, right? And in the visible part of the spectrum, light gets scattered as it comes to us pretty easily. Also, you have lower resolution images, which can get combined with stars on either side of this Cepheid variable. It's kind of hard to know. Big error bars, okay? Big error bars. So the contribution for James Webb Space Telescope in 2023 was to make those same observations in the infrared with its larger aperture in the infrared. So you're not as worried about scattering of light. You have a larger aperture, so you have higher resolution, and you can see that the Cepheid in the middle of this circle in both images is much better resolved with the James Webb Space Telescope image. And what James Webb figured out is that the Hubble numbers that they were coming up with, the distances that Hubble was getting, despite their error bars, were accurate. They were accurate. So it's reinforcing the distance scale in the universe that we get from Cepheid variables. Okay, well, what about the other methods? Well, this is just showing that. And two different galaxies. The red dots are the James Webb Space Telescope values for Cepheid variables based on their brightening and dimming rates. And here's another galaxy. Again, the gray images are Hubble. The red images are James Webb. Pretty good agreement. Okay, here we go. So you remember that depending upon which of these standard candles, or the cold dark matter, or the Cepheid variable, or the red giants, you get a little bit different numbers. And that really shouldn't be. So there's some thought that we live in a bubble, a fairly large bubble, actually, where there isn't a lot of matter. At least the density of matter in the bubble that our galaxy lives in is much lower than in the region around it. And this bubble has a diameter of something like 150 million light years, perhaps as much as 300 million light years, something like that. And therefore, the recession velocity inside this bubble is faster than the recession velocity of galaxies outside this bubble, In one way, because these galaxies outside the bubble are pulling galaxies in the bubble toward them and accelerating them. All right, so that works. However, in the standard cosmological model that takes into account dark matter, here's where I was getting to your comment, Andy. Cold dark matter and cold baryonic matter, normal matter, you shouldn't have these bubbles. They shouldn't be there. The universe should be more equally distributed. So now what do? Well, it turns out that if you consider MOND, modified Newtonian dynamics, and forget about this hocus pocus of dark matter, it turns out that these bubbles can exist, and that it's perfectly consistent with our observations, and that would resolve this issue of the Hubble tension, coming up with different rates of recession, different distances, using different techniques. So these very quietly presented James Webb Space Telescope discoveries of the distances to galaxies using Cepheid variables as the indicator turn out to have enormous implications to not only the age of the universe, but to the quandary of whether there is dark matter or is gravity behaving differently at large scales. So stay tuned for more information. There will be other observations on the fly coming.
Very, very interesting, Lou. Thank you so much.
Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's a lot going on with the James Webb. A lot of it is being misreported and blown up ridiculously, of course. But as you say, that one has sort of slipped under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, it's all witchery. It's all witchery.
Yeah, it's all magic. So we await further data from the Webb to see whether that bears out. Thank you very much for that suggestion. Let's go.
A faithful MOND enthusiast right here. I just want to make that.
Well, I think we've got that. Yes.
Can I just say, I think that news slipped onto the radar because we needed to have equations to explain them. Right?
Yeah.
But our audience has got that. Our audiences are on top of all this. Painful as it was.
Yes, our audience are perfect.
Not the only one, Derek.
Yeah, our audience can understand that, no problem. We wouldn't insult you by trying to simplify it or make it.
No, we have the best of the best here. We don't pull any of our punches.
No, we respect your intelligence, audience, which I think you'll agree is a rare thing these days, especially on YouTube.
Yeah, we all understand it. What's the Cepheid variable?
What was that X over said again? I don't.
What's the Cepheid variable?
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Let's go to Bernard. Bernard, do you have a favourite news story of the last couple of years?
It's not a news; it's a non-news story. But it's the debunking of the discovery of phosphine on Venus. Remember the last 3-4 years, phosphine was detected, blah de blah, huge amount of news coverage, and and there were some somewhat indicators that potentially this could be true, and then ultimately as more people start to look into it and further data sets were compared, it just turned out that it was a false positive. And the reason why I wanted to choose that is because it's still exciting stuff. We could still, as you mentioned earlier, we could still discover exciting stuff on the nearest planet of us, and it could have potential huge implications, but also it just shows how science works. And the media just starts to spin like crazy when they get news like that, and sometimes we just need to step back and say, hold on a second, yes, it's exciting, but we need confirmation. We need to compare data sets. We need to work on this much longer before starting to jump too much to conclusions. So and I was hugely excited when I first heard about the news, and I'm like, okay, it got debunked. That's fine as well. That's science, and we learn more about Venus. So I think there was there was a great narrative, a great story about that whole debunking of phosphine. So there you go. That's my non-news.
Bearing in mind that Venus as a planet, as a target for exploration, has been neglected for the last several decades.
Yeah, totally.
One good thing to come out of this, there was immediate flurry of announcements of space probes being launched to Venus over the next couple of years to look at the phosphine issue. So if nothing else, we get some fresh Venus exploration out of it. So
Indeed.
I understand that the funding, so you remember the funding was cut for the Mars sample return mission.
Yeah.
And that's being refigured. But in the process, also, funding was kind of delayed for the 2 Venus missions, Veritas and I forget the name of the other.
And Vision Plus, I think.
No,
or is that the ESA one?
Yeah. Anyhow, no, they're both NASA missions, I think. But in either event, the funding is delayed, and so that's going to slow down their launch schedule.
Yeah. Was it something like Da Vinci or Da
Vinci? Yes.
Yeah, Da Vinci. Yeah.
Well done, Daz.
Yeah. So the 2 NASA ones are indeed Da Vinci, and the one you mentioned,
Veritas.
and the Envision one is the ESA one. So
That's right.
Yeah. So there we are. Okay, thank you for that, Bernard. Bernard, should I say? So you'll have to.
I was going to say, and
No. It's. Come on, you got to admit, it's not usual for me to make a mistake like that, but you've got to remember when us English see the word Bernard, we pronounce it Bernard. Not,
I had a problem at my property, and I had a builder for 2 months to redo a whole wall, and it's just been a nightmare. I kid you not. For 2 months, every day he called me Bernard, and every day I was saying it's Bernard, and it was just. Anyways, moving on.
It's like the current head of all space and earth sciences for NASA is Nikki Fox, and she's British, and so I talk occasionally that I used to work at Goddard Space Flight Center, and she calls it Goddard. So it takes a little.
Really?
Goddard.
Yeah.
I suppose sort of like with Bernard's name in Bernard, it's like Mrs. Bouquet or Mrs. Bucket. It's that sort of thing.
And in him, you can see the resemblance, actually, can't you? Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's just Michael, what's your news of the last 2 years?
Deflecting.
Moving on.
I will then sort of talk about what I was interested in, and over the last 2 years was the first flight from Spaceport Cornwall back in January last year. You'll know that they Virgin Orbit had a 747 aircraft with a rocket called Launcher 1 strapped underneath the left wing to launch small satellites into orbit. It was the first time that they'd actually launched from the UK, from Cornwall, and it was launched under a lot of amazing fanfare in the UK. Unfortunately, although the aircraft flight was a success, the actual rocket mission failed to reach orbit, and all of the small satellites that were on board were lost as well. And subsequently, Virgin Orbit failed to source other funding for their quest, and sadly had to be made bankrupt only a couple of months later. So sadly, at the moment, there's no more horizontal launches planned from Spaceport Cornwall. But I do believe they are in talks with another horizontal launch provider for the future. So we just have to watch this space. But also, Spaceport Cornwall have been talking to companies like Sierra Space with Dream Chaser, and also another company for landing possibilities ending missions in the UK rather than going back to the States. Actually landing in the UK instead. So, you may remember that the airport, Tanuki Airport, was one of the airports that was chosen as a transatlantic abort site for the space shuttle at one time. So that's another possibility for Space Cornwall in the future.
I mean, it's a strange one with Nuki because for sort of a town sort of like that small, it's had that airport with that massive runway.
Yeah.
So it just seems very strange where that come from. I see we have actually started some sort of competition in the chat. Sorry, I'm just going to pop this up. I think this is the Scottish pronunciation of your name, Bernard. Bernard! Bernard! Freedom!
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So there is hope for Spaceport Cornwall, yes, you know. So we just have to watch this space on. I'm hoping to have a bit more on that next week.
Hey, Michael.
I'll just pop that back up again. So.
Alan Ledry says Cosmic Girl has been renamed Spirit of Mojave and is available for Cornwall. There you are.
Oh, thank you, Alan. I didn't know that. So thank you for that.
And he says it belongs to Strato Launch, which owns.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for that, Alan.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
We've got a new guest coming
viewers. We got a trespasser. Who is this person?
Happy second birthday.
Thank you, Doreen.
And you.
Yeah, you can join
lovely
us.
to see you.
It's good to see that Andy looks and acts 2 years old today.
Yeah.
Missed it if you get your t-shirt.
Do you like hospital food?
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
The jello is wonderful.
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
You all. How's everyone?
Lovely.
Fine.
I got to listen to Lou's lecture on my drive back to my office, so that was wonderful.
Oh, good.
Which lecture was this?
Right now.
Oh, this lecture. The current lecture.
Yeah. So, long time since we've seen you, Kareem. We need you back.
I'm hoping as soon as I get my exams marked and my meetings done, I hope to be back.
Yay!
Good. We're looking forward to it.
And I've asked them next year to give me my Tuesday afternoon slot, but I don't know. At the moment, they've scheduled astronomy, so.
Right.
Which is good. Maybe I'll be able to live stream from a class and, do a space.
That'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's great to see you, and we need you back. We need some more of your constellation stories. Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I'll tell you, I missed doing the Aurora stories this year during that wonderful bloom on May 10th. I was all the Aurora legends were going through my head as I was out under that beautiful curtain that Michael has behind him there, and Roger. Wonderful.
Yeah. Rogers is more colourful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, watch this space. We've got some shows coming up about Aurora legends and omens and things like that. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Right, well, viewers, you haven't got long to send in your emails for tonight's prize draw. And looking at it, we've only had a few in. So if you would like to win a Space Oddities t-shirt or NASA Solar System travel posters, then please send your name in to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com for tonight's draw. We will be making that in a little while, but so far we haven't had an overwhelming response considering how many people are watching. So even if you don't want the t-shirt, I'm sure you know somebody who does or might. So send an email to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. Please entitle the email prize draw and put your first name and last name in it. If you do, we will get back to you later about details. But then, you haven't got long to enter this fantastic once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win your very own Space Oddities t-shirt, kindly being modelled this evening by Michael. as part of the Space Oddities summer collection. The T-shirt is, he's not part of the collection. Luckily, you don't get him knocking at your door and saying, I'm moving in. So,
Scary.
yeah, you've no idea what a lucky escape that would be. So there we are. Also being modelled by Daz tonight. So now, I won't say give us a 12, Daz. You probably fall over.
All right.
No, I'm not getting off this seat for anybody. You don't want to see. I told you don't want to see below the waist.
No, definitely not. So there we are. So get your entries for the draw in. The T-shirt's fantastic. The NASA Solar System travel posters. Don't forget we're giving away 3 to each of the second and third winners. So get your entries in now. So there we are. Okay, well let's carry on then with our surveys. Let's go over to Daz. Daz, what about you?
Okay then. Right, let's just see if I can get this up and running. Let's get rid of this. Right. Please bear with me. I've had to change my pictures around, so I'm having to do this. Right. Right. I hope you can see that.
We can see something. Yes, there we are. Let's just maximize that and get rid of our ugly mugs off the screen. There we are.
Yeah, so I'll do a slideshow. Right. So my no, one.
Right.
The reason I could have chosen all. The reason I've chosen one is because of all the excitement. It was literally a heart in the mouth moment. It took me back to like the Apollo era when people were trying things for the first time. It was basically on the edge of your seat stuff. It's on a wing and a prayer sort of thing. But I thought, will this thing actually get off the ground? We saw the testing with the Starship. We saw the testing of the engine boosters. And then came the day when they were going to launch this beast. And of course, we know it wasn't a success, but it wasn't a failure either. We were absolutely flabbergasted to see this thing actually launch into the sky. And we knew virtually, you could see right from the word go, things weren't right. We knew you could see, like on the bottom right here, you can see some engines have popped out. You've got orange flames as well as the blue flame. So we knew things hadn't started as they should. It was very slow taking off, which was a bit of a mystery. People think, it's not moving. So what, is this thing going to take off or not? But at the time, we didn't know what it was doing. It was basically doing an excavation job. Of course, we got to this. We didn't even get to separation before the whole thing had to be terminated in a very big explosion. But I remember this moment, and it was one of those things where your heart's going. You're all keyed up. And I can remember we had the Rachel's and Johnny's school children with us. And we were watching this, and it was just absolutely an amazing moment. And I'll remember this till I die. But then again, since then, we've had another 2 flights which have taken it further. We've got another flight coming up within the next few weeks. But this is pushing the boundaries really big time. And of course, as we said, it didn't launch because it was digging a hole. And if you can remember this was the car for NASA's space flights, just been hit by a piece of junk. All this concrete and brickwork came out, and debris was scattered over the whole area for miles, really, basically, in square mileage. We could actually see from some of the drone shots debris falling into the sea. But it was just one of those things that was really it had to be done. And well, basically SpaceX learned a lot. I mean, basically that if they didn't put a flame trench in, which they thought they could get away with, or some sort of suppression system, but and just have a reinforced concrete pad, that wasn't going to work. As you can see, the debris was strewn over a very long place. All the towers, if you remember, were damaged. Some of them were actually pierced. You can see the dents and all that sort of thing. And this is a hole it dug, and it was just absolutely amazing. And of course, because it dug this hole, it's one of the reasons they think that some of the engines were basically destroyed right from the word go. And then, of course, as things went on, different things happened, and we lost the whole thing. But I just thought I wanted to share that because, to me, it's what I'm just going to stop sharing. What it reminds me of is that it it's pushing the boundaries. It's pushing the boundaries. It's what space discovery, exploration is all about. But it's just things that takes me back to sort of like when I was a child, and as I said, watching the Apollo stuff. And for somebody to launch such a behemoth into the sky, we didn't even know if it would get off the pad. And as soon as it started to move, everybody was, "Oh yes, it's going, it's going." So that was my favourite. But it was hard to choose because then I think, "Oh, what about James Webb? What about this, that, and the other?" But I thought, no, I think because I love space travel, and I just want to see everything improve. So that's my favourite over the last 2 years, and I've got more to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, as you said, you've got to remember this is the biggest, most powerful rocket ever built, and 5 times more powerful than the Saturn V, which took people to the moon, etc., etc. Tallest rocket, most powerful rocket, and to see it actually take off for the first time, with the promise that it was going to be a viable way of getting stuff into space at a vastly cheaper cost than any other launch system, potentially, was indeed an amazing moment.
Yeah. And if you look behind me, there's Launch 2 with all the engines firing.
With all 33 Raptors burning away.
Keep you back warm.
Hey.
Right. Okay, yeah, keep you back warm.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move now to Roger. What about you, Roger?
Well, I've always been fascinated with the images from the James Webb, and obviously the special launch on Christmas Day 2022 was rather special, wasn't it?
It was.
And all these images and the absolute perfect trajectory that it took enabled it to hang on to its fuel for many years more of future observations, which is a right bonus.
Yeah. I
absolutely.
think there was many a late Christmas dinner that time when that.
I think there was, yes.
Well, if I remember rightly, my mum said, my wife said to me, "Leave that alone and come and eat Christmas dinner." And I said, "Not a chance. I'm watching the Ariane." So
Absolutely,
it was an historic day, and again, it was the promise of what we didn't know. That we, if all went to plan, and don't forget, the unfolding of the Webb Observatory in transit out at the Lagrange point was a phenomenal engineering achievement. That will go down in the history books as space engineering par excellence.
Absolutely.
It's kind of neat that we had the launch and the unfolding during the end of Astro Radio, and then the images coming out with the start of Space Oddities. So it kind of is that bridge for us from our old to our new.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that. Sandra, Osiris Rex. I mean, that's another fantastic story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, definitely a really, really good one. And yes, and Lee says the launch and the first images, also the Artemis launch. Don't forget that we've had an Artemis
launch.
The last 2 years have just been amazing, and I would venture to suggest nothing compared to the next 2 years, because we've got so much stuff in the pipeline that looks incredible. Don't forget, we've also got the world's biggest observatory, the biggest telescope ever built on the Earth, the European Extremely Large Telescope, online. Probably, I was reading recently, towards the middle of 2026, if all goes well, maybe into 2027. But that is going to be and I hate to use the expression because it's such a cliche, but a real game changer in terms of astronomy.
And of course, Andy, the Vera Rubin telescope. That
Vera Rubin telescope next year. Yeah.
Receiving this 32, what is it? How many megapixels camera? 32,000 megapixels or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't it 64, I think, something like that.
I can't remember now, but
I can't remember, but it was a
big tripod anyway.
Yeah. It's the biggest digital camera ever built. We've also got coming up the Magellan telescope, the 30-meter telescope, if they both get built. So astronomy is as you know, it has been for a while now, but the astronomical revolution is picking up pace, and over the next few years we're going to see the most amazing advances in astronomy. The square kilometer array as well towards the end of this decade. The most sensitive radio telescope ever built, maybe up to 10 times more sensitive than any existing radio telescope. That's under construction in South Africa and Western Australia. And that will be coming online initially maybe in about 3 years, but science operations really starting towards the end of the decade. Lots of great stuff coming up.
Yeah, we got lots of data to look forward to. And can I just pop this up and say good luck, Ian, tomorrow in your exam?
Oh, God, yeah, good luck, Ian. God.
So when you get your results...
We'll be thinking of you. Good luck. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. So good luck with that. And there we are.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So time is getting short, viewers, to send in your entries for the prize draw. Just send us an email, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. Put prize draw as the title and put your name and first name, please, in the email, because we will be making the draw before too long. And so far, we've only got a few people, it seems, who want to win the glorious Space Oddities t-shirt or NASA Solar System travel posters. So
if I hadn't logged in, could I have put my name in for the draw?
No.
We couldn't afford the postage.
No, that's right.
They'd probably be cheaper to buy them over there.
I think true broadcasting tradition, if you're part of the show, you can't enter.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there we are. All right. Now, what we can do now? Well, you know, everybody's been talking about the aurora the last few weeks, and why not? Because we've had the most spectacular geomagnetic storm that we've seen in decades, and people around the world may have got interested in their night sky a bit more because of the attention to the aurora. They may have seen the aurora for the first time. I was saying earlier, Kareem, that I have it on good authority that it was actually seen from Catalonia at 41 degrees. It was very faintly, but it was there.
All the way down to Tenerife at 28 degrees.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
And from the southern hemisphere, they were seeing it in Chile, in Argentina, even in Brazil, where they've never seen aurora before.
Fantastic. And I've just been reading that 3644, that monster sunspot that was the cause of that geomagnetic storm, it's just released an X2.9 flare.
Yeah.
Not pointed at the Earth, obviously, because it's on the limb of the sun.
Yeah.
But you know, it's alive and kicking. It's survived its journey around the sun, and
we have images, Andy. We have images.
Oh, fantastic! Well, this is an opportune time to turn over to Daz for our weekly look at what's going on in terms of the sun. So, what have you got for us, Daz?
What's the recipe today, Jim?
Yeah, that dates you.
Yeah, just a tad. Right, where's my Right, let's have a look. Launch Starship. Looks like I can't go big screen on this. Where's that gone?
It looks fine from here. Hang on, let me.
Is it full screen?
No. Yes, full screen. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then I'll carry on then. Because I have to do this from this side.
Right.
Right. Okay then. So basically, the space weather report. We haven't really got much to report as a way of action this week. It's been very, very quiet. we did start. Because I'm looking for the. Oh, hang on, mate. What's this? I think I found it. Do. No, that hasn't gone. Is that big or? No, it looks like you've got the whole page.
Doesn't
Hang
matter.
on, mate.
We
No, I found it. I found it. Because I've just clicked that. It's just come up.
oh,
So
right.
we should. Oh no, I didn't want that one. That's for last week.
Just
Right. So I'll start
there you
again.
go, that's got it. That's
Yeah, space weather report. Like I said, we've had very little to report. We did have some M-class flares towards the end of the week with active regions going off the limb. Now we have had, as Andy said, we've got some old friends come around. We have 3663, which we should remember from a couple of weeks ago, that gave us some. I'll tell you the new numbers and once I get it up. And 3664 and 3664 and 3663, they look huge. They absolutely look huge. So in the next sort of like couple of weeks, maybe again over the next couple of weeks, we might go back into some nice aurora, but fingers crossed. Remember, everything's got to work out just right for us to be able to get these nice auroras. So okay then, so we got the return of some old friends, but also there was some other things. Now here we are. This is from last week, if you remember, the 21st. We had 6 active regions, and of course all these on this side now have all disappeared. There was 124 sunspots, so we're not really big on the numbers of sunspots at the moment. Remember when we were sort of like mid 200s a couple of weeks ago? That may all change with what's happening. Now this is this week. Now it says we've got 8, and what we're looking at is 3. At first they thought 3690 was possibly our old friend 3663, which gave us a fun. Then of course this big one came in just over. You can see my cursor, yeah. Yeah, that's good. So this 3691 came into view. But if you look, if that's 3663, look what's followed it around as well. There's another big region just here. And although you can't see it here, when we'll go on to the other images, you will be able to see how active that region is as well. So if these start to grow and get really active, I mean, look at the size of that anyway. I mean, that is massive.
It's huge.
But then if we come down here, 3697, that's our friend. 3664, and this is the one the other day, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better when I start showing the other images and the videos. It is big, and it was firing off, as Andy said. It fired off a 2.8 or 2.9 X flare, X-class, X-class flare yesterday. And I've got some close-up of that. So so that's what we're looking at now. That's the sun today on the right-hand side, 28th of May. And you can see we're beginning to pick up all this stuff again. Now if this is 3663, this is its 4th time around. Now I'm a bit surprised that it did make it round, because it seemed to be dying off. But even before it came round on the limb, we could see it was firing off stuff already. It hasn't done much yet, but at the moment we're sort of like watching the 3697 because that's the one who's giving us all the action at the moment. Right, we do have a couple of coronal holes on the face of the sun. We've only got a small one up here. It's coming into, if it survives, it's only small. As it rotates in, it may be Earth facing, but unless something happens, it's not going to really affect us. And there's a bigger one off to the southeast, just about to southwest, just to disappear off the limb. So that's what we're looking at. Right, now this will start straight away. The first thing there's some action going on the southwest. They're on the bottom here. There's some flares going off. You can see we've got quite some long filaments things going on there. But all these flares really are small. They're not doing a lot. this filament here, that's just lifted off. And that caused a bit of a kerfuffle, but it doesn't really amount to much in the way of a CME action for us. But as you can see, everything on the western side was beginning to spark off. But look what now was coming up round on the eastern limb. Now this is 3663, as we know. I should have written down the new number. But this is our old friend coming into view. Now, if you watch here, in about sort of like the 8 o'clock region, later on you will see a big flare, and this is the flare that Andy was on about, or the CME. And it will fire off stuff. As you can see, look how big 366, the old 3663 is, and it's huge. We've also got some more regions around here, and all these little regions firing off little flares as well. But right behind this one is this area around here. You can see now here comes this big flare, bang. You'll see it really take off in a second. And as you can see, you've got all this reconnection going on with the magnetic arcades. But that was actually as I said, a X 2.8 flare. So well, here's in a different wavelength. Again, this really shows you all the magnetism, all the magnetic connection between the spots, and sometimes even between regions, kicking off. And you'll see this coming around. All the action, as I said at the beginning of the week, was on the western limb, but there was nothing really to write home about. You get this big flare, sort of like lift off. It's not there's no sort of like flare with it to give it all the oomph and all that. But then again, look at all this coming on around on the eastern limb at the top here. So yeah, that was the first one they came, and this is the one they first thought was 3663. But as you can see, it's not that much. There's hardly anything there. So, but here it comes. He's coming round, and again, you'll see this big flare come off of here. And again, but that was all away from Earth. So if we are going to catch anything, it's only going to be sort of like a side swipe. It did, when I'll show you the coronagraph, you will see, remember I was talking a couple of weeks ago about a 360 halo. It created a partial halo, and this is why they think we could get some sort of like ructions from it, but it's not going to be that big. So as you can see, it's all kicking off here. You got all this reconnection going on. Absolutely lovely action. And these are going to be very soon, like I say, once that comes round on the face of the sun, you're going to have all these big spots. Look how that's actually brightened since it's come round off of the actual limb there. So we've got these two spots very, very close together, and then we've got this one here. It looks absolutely huge. Now this is the coronagraph. Now there's something else here I'd like to point out. See the two planets? The small one is Jupiter, and the big one is Venus. And you're going to actually see something you won't see from our perspective. And that's, so it stopped. Well, please don't stop. And that's, you're going to see a conjunction. If I can get it to go. He's stopped. He's messing me about. Let's come back. Oh. Right, so that's not going to work. So let's just go back and let's see if we can start it again. Oh, it's not going to even let me go back on the slides. I think I've seized up. Right, let's go back to that one. So let's go forward again. Right, let's see if we can get this running.
Happens. It's your age, Daz.
Yeah, it's like me getting old. As you can see, what did I say it was? Venus is moving towards Jupiter, and they actually form a conjunction, and it's something that you wouldn't be able to see anywhere else except on these coronagraphs. Now you can see there's lots of flares, lots of things going off. All this action is on the back. It's on the far side, so it's all away from us. Look at that size of that flare there, and it's just sweeping away to the southwest. And it's all this stuff is happening on the back. So course, these are all the flares that these areas that just went off the limb ourselves. They're still kicking off. They're creating lots of space weather, but it's away from us. Now, remember to keep an eye out for that flare from our old friend 3664. It'll come about in the 8 o'clock position. Well, actually, it's more about the 9 o'clock because it's so big by the time it actually reaches out past the coronaspheres. And you'll see how much matter was actually expelled from there. It'll be coming up very soon. But like I said, all this stuff you can see here is away from us, is on the far side. There it goes.
Wow.
Look at that.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, and it gave us a partial. It come all the way around here, so it gave us a partial halo. So we may get a side swipe from that. So yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And of course, then you got this big flare again. But again, it's on the far side. So the sun is still active, but most of it seems to be on the far side. Let's see if I can just start that. Probably won't let me now. See if I can get it going again. See if I can catch that. No, it's not going to let me. Right. So there it goes. Bang. So that's just absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. So... there you go. Now this is the area. Again, this is just just a very short video showing the actual expulsion itself. Here we go. Is it going? Not going to let me go. Here we go. You just watch the 8 o'clock area. Zoom, bang. And you could see all that material lifting off, and you can see the flare was going for quite a long time. You could see this diffraction spike there, but also you could see the diffraction lines coming out through here. So that was a long flare, and it was recorded at 2.8. I dread to think if we could have actually seen the whole of it, how big it was actually, because if you remember that one that went off last week, which was, I can't remember what we said it was now. An X8 something or other was on the far side, and they think back tracing it, because we couldn't see the actual surface of the sun where this was actually taking place. They could have thought that could be actually as big as a X18 flare. Now, if that was coming towards us, we'd definitely have some lovely aurora if everything's right. So I think that's all it is. There isn't much going on, unfortunately. We need these to come into a little bit more towards the center and start to see what they're doing. We've got plenty of filaments here that can lift off, but we haven't got any coronal holes to blow them towards us. So I think that's it.
Great.
That's an old one. Yeah. So
Thank
okay
you,
then.
Daz. So I'm sure it'll look very different next week.
Yeah.
So there we are. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so moving on. Well, I'm sad to report that despite offering free T-shirts and free posters, we've only had 3 entries in our prize draw for this evening. So that logically makes it first prize, second prize, and third prize. But we're going to give you 2 minutes more to get your emails in. So spaceodditieslive@gmail.com will be closing in 2 minutes, the draw. So if you would like to win a T-shirt or NASA Solar System travel posters, then please do send an email in now before it's too late. We'll give you 2 minutes, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, entitle your email prize draw, and put your name and first name in the email, please. Thanks, and may the best winner win, as it were. So there we are. So we've had quite a lot of interesting favourite stories tonight, and it's been nice to recap over some of them. Some of them, are equally contenders, like Sandra mentioned, Osiris Rex. And, lots and lots of interesting stuff that we've had over the last 2 years. And just very, 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 very briefly, is anybody looking forward to any particular one thing in the foreseeable future?
Well, personally, I want to see Starliner get off the ground.
Okay.
I want it to prove itself.
Right.
And because at the end of the day, it's sort of like a selfish reason in a way. The reason we need Starliner, although they reckon the Cygnus pods can go up there and do it, we need the thrusters on, yeah, the things that give us a bit of trouble with the Dreamliner, to actually be able to push the International Space Station back up into a higher orbit. At the moment, we have nothing at the moment that can actually do that. And if we want to keep the International Space Station until, what is it, the 2030 at least, then we need to get this pushed up. So yes, we do need Starliner. It's not my favorite ship, as everybody knows. It's there's lots of reasons, but I want it to prove itself. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Starliner, Polaris is another one. The first private spacewalks. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And I guess again getting all these big telescopes up and running, and we're going to be inundated with data. So we need, all these budding scientists to come along and give us a hand. Look at this data. It's exciting times.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. It's exciting times.
Yeah. Anybody got anything else they're particularly looking forward to?
I'd
Kareem,
like,
do you have anything?
Michael was sorry, Michael.
I'd just like to mirror what Daz was saying about Starliner. If only for the thousands of people that have worked on the project, but also looking forward to Ariane 6 first flight.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
And let's hope it will prove to be as reliable a workhorse as Ariane 5 has been.
Yeah.
So there we are. Kareem, what about you? Anything you're looking forward to?
Looking forward to, so I'll tell you, in terms of my astronomy career as a teacher, it's been kind of bookended with OSIRIS-REx starting and then bringing back its samples. And then they decided to continue it and send it off to Apophis. So now, I got to keep going, I guess. I can't just stop. I thought that was a nice bookend, but
no.
One of the huge things for me is to see how Euclid and Vera Rubin and some of the other initiatives like the Deep Sky, the deep underground dark matter detectors that they've installed in some of the mines. Once all of these pieces of data are brought together, what's that going to do to our picture of the universe? Because that's the big unknown. That's the big question mark. And so we've already had some indication from James Webb data, from the gravitational wave measurements. We have some starting to be like tantalizing little bits to start to hold on to. So with Euclid giving us its images and Vera Rubin about to come online, I think there's going to be a whole new direction where astronomy and cosmology can come together.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I was reading an interesting article the other day about the data deluge that is about to hit astronomy.
Oh, yeah.
And machine learning isn't up to the task yet. We have not gotten far enough to rely on it in any perceivable way.
No, that's right. I mean, this was always going to happen. It's been known for quite a while, especially since the square kilometer array was designed, because when that was designed, the supercomputers that will run the whole thing didn't even exist. And they had enormous faith that by the time that they were ready to start building it, the computers to run it would actually exist.
So talking about this, so I was at the Canadian Space Agency today, and one of my students asked about the programming language used for some of the satellites. Right. And they were talking about how some of the newer satellites have now been upgraded to interface with Python, so you can send your commands by coding in Python, but that there's still a couple that they have to have Fortran programmers for.
Really?
Yes. So there's satellites up there that have been functioning for long enough that we're still sending commands with Fortran structure.
Well, thank God it's not Sinclair Basic. That's all I want to say.
But here's the thing is, like, you think about how we're corresponding with the Voyager probes, and that's very, very basic, like almost COBOL level programming that we're sending that direction. We're constantly trying to play catch up with our technologies, and we can't work ahead when we're sending them up. So it's this interesting interface where we see these amazing advancements, but we sent stuff up 10 years ago. So how are we going to access it with these amazing advancements? So that bridge is going to require some completely out of the box thinking to find a way to use.
This is why knowledge management is an important part of any operations team. The old paper Fortran and assembler language books that they had to dig through, when all the people who wrote them have gone elsewhere, knowledge management is increasingly important for these long space missions.
Yeah, because I was just talking about longest running spacecraft. The one that I've got in this magazine is Lagos one, and it's been in operation for 48 years and counting. So that's even older than the Voyagers.
I can have you beat. We are still getting data communication from Anik 1, the communication satellite that was sent up in 1967.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
my goodness me.
Yeah, because I did read that there was one. I think this is. I don't know whether this is just NASA ones or.
Yeah, it's probably just NASA ones.
But yeah, but you think what the language they're using? So yeah. I mean, if it's 1967, it's probably hieroglyphs, isn't it?
Basic off of a Commodore.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And of course, as well as the quantity of data and analyzing that data, you've got the old question of what media you store that data on so that it's going to be readable in the future. That's another interesting question. So
just think of the telequad update or whatever it is from Vera Rubin's going to be.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that's going to be terabytes.
There's still no international standard for data collection or storing of images, especially for things like radio telescopes.
Yeah.
Where there's no standard. Every country has their own way of storing that data and their own format of what's like a JPEG, but it's something else.
Yeah.
That's true in some disciplines. In planetary science, you have the structure of the PDS format, which used to be called PDS 2010, and they're collaborating very heavily with the IPDA, the International Planetary Data Alliance from Europe. So they do have some grassroots standards for metadata and data formats and storage. But I think what's going to happen is eventually everything will be on a redundant RAID disk in the cloud. That's where everything's headed. Everything.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still talking about magnetic media.
Are those Noctilucent clouds or are those cumulus clouds?
Yeah. So there we are. All right. Well, listen. Thanks, guys, for that. It's about time we did the draw, I think, as time's getting on. Now, looking at the entries that we've had in the draw, we've actually now had 4 entries into the draw. And so only 3 of those people, this is nail biting, so only 3 of those people are going to win prizes. So I have numbered each of the emails that we have received. So this is all above board. You're going to have to trust me. Trust me. I'm a doctor. I will even tell you who we've had entries from. So we'd like to thank you for your entries. Kev Earp, Jerry DeLay, Sandra, and Ian. So 3 out of the 4 of you are going to win a prize. This is exciting stuff, isn't it? So having numbered all 4, it's a shame that more of you didn't enter the draw. It's no strings attached. We pay the postage. We pay everything. We send you a T-shirt or some NASA Solar System posters. So let's make the draw. So having numbered these, Kareem, would you like to give me a number between 1 and 4, please?
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so this is for third prize. This is 3 NASA Solar System posters, and they go to Sandra Grace. So congratulations, Sandra. Sandra, would you like to email us again with your contact details, your postal address, and we will get those off to you as soon as we possibly can. So for second prize, again, a number now between 1 and 3. Let's ask Daz for 1.
Cool, that's a hard one. 2.
That's Ian. So Ian, you've just won yourself 3 solar system travel posters. So congratulations. Excuse me, I'm turning into the Incredible Hulk again. There we are. I must replace this camera. I've tracked it down to the camera. So that only leaves the first prize of a Space Oddities t-shirt. So basically, Lou, would you like to give me a number between 1 and 2, please?
Oh, I have to think about it. Wow, that's tough. 2 again.
2 again.
Huh? 2.
Okay, so we have a winner of the Space Oddities t-shirt, and the winner of our Space Oddities t-shirt is Kev Earp. So,
Yay!
Kev.
Can we be generous and just give the last person something?
Agreed.
Yes.
I think we should. I think we should.
Yeah. So
So
Posters for everyone.
we'll send. Yeah, it's Christmas for everyone.
So that's Jerry Delay. So Jerry, we will send you some solar system posters as well to say thank you for entering. It seems a bit churlish to exclude you as there were so few entries. So everybody's a winner. So Kev,
well done, everyone.
Yeah.
Well
Kev,
done.
send us an email, mate, and in the email, if you could put the size of t-shirt you'd like to wear, the usual sizes, I think it's S up to XXL. And also, of course, tell us if you'd like the old design of t-shirt or the one from the 2024 collection that Daz and Michael are currently sort of modelling. So tell us your size, your postal address, obviously, and which of the 2 t-shirts you would like to be the proud owner of. So congratulations to all of our winners. That's to Kev, to Jerry, to Sandra, to Ian. We will get your prizes out to you as soon as we possibly can. And thank you so much for participating.
Yeah, if we've ever sent you one of the posters before, can you just let us know which one you've got so we don't duplicate?
Oh, that's true. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know we've used them before. So
yeah.
Okay.
Well
done, everyone.
Well, I think we'll wrap things up for this evening.
Something else, Andy, before we wrap up?
No, I think we'll wrap things up for this evening. Go on.
Just wanted to say that there is a launch tonight from Vandenberg, Falcon 9, and the launch is at 23:20 UK time, I believe, and it's the ESA's Earth Care satellite.
Which one is it? Sorry.
Earth Care satellite.
Earth Care?
Earth
Care? What's that? What sort of language is that?
Oh,
Earth Care?
I'm just reading it.
Is this the one that they scrubbed last night?
I'm not sure.
Or was that Starlink?
So this is the Earth Cloud Aerosol and Radiation Explorer.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's from
an ESA mission developed with JAXA, Japanese Space Agency.
That's it.
It includes 2 passive instruments that observe the atmosphere and 2 active instruments. Got a lifetime of 3 years. Coming up on May the 30th, we have a launch of Soyuz and Progress. Progress supplying the International Space Station, of course. We've got the test flight of Eris coming up. And this is from Gilmore Space in Australia. This is Gilmore Space, nothing to do with Pink Floyd, I presume.
Yeah.
And the Eris Block 1 rocket, it's a 3-stage launch vehicle, 82 feet or 25 meters tall. And it's got a 4.9-foot diameter payload fairing. And it's designed to send up to 305 kilometers to low Earth orbit. And the first mission's called, now this is a really, really original name for a mission, Test Flight 1. So,
wow.
So there we are.
So this is actually going to put it in orbit, is it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Okay then.
On the test flight. That'll be interesting. We'll keep you posted with that one. No fixed date for that, but soon. We've got Starliner on June the 1st. We've got Starship, hopefully on June the 5th. There's a Soyuz Condor mission launching the Condor experimental SAR spacecraft. And that's coming up in June. We've got a Long March launch on June the 24th. It's a launch. This is an interesting astronomy launch, actually, from the Chinese. It's a dual Franco-Chinese mission dedicated to the study of the most distant explosions of stars, the gamma ray bursts. So 2 French instruments, 2 Chinese, 3-year lifespan, 625-kilometer Earth orbit, delayed from late 2023. June the 25th, we got a Falcon Heavy launch, guys. And this is a GOES-U satellite for NASA and NOAA, geostationary weather satellites. Polaris Dawn sometime in the summer. Of course, we've got the launch of Vulcan and Dream Chaser coming up at some point. The Arctic Satellite Broadband mission from Space Norway launches in the summer. We've got on June the 29th and 30th, JAXA launched the third flight of its H3 launch vehicle, launching an advanced land observing satellite, and that's about it. So anyway,
it's not it.
Oh, sorry.
That's not it. In October, right?
Oh, yeah.
Europa Clipper.
Europa, yes, of course.
And
yes.
If I might go out just a little bit further, in about a year, the SWIFO mission, the Space Weather Follow-On mission, will launch to the L1 position as a eventual, but as a replacement for the ACE, SOHO, and Discover missions, which are well into their late lifetime.
Yeah, talking about launches, did anyone see about 4 or 5 days ago a Falcon 9 launch, and it was launched at the perfect time out of absolutely an atmospheric event that happens very rarely, but they launch in the dark, but the sun's only just gone over the horizon, and when the rocket actually comes out into the sunshine, because it's still shining at the top there was a beautiful jellyfish, a speckled jellyfish. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm sure it was about 4 or 5 days ago. It's absolutely beautiful. It was.
Lovely. All right, so listen, thank you so much for being with us for our second anniversary special. It does mean a lot to us that you're here this evening. Here's to the next 2 years of Space Oddities. And I'd like to thank everybody on the panel for being here tonight, especially Rachel, who was here earlier, and Bernard, who was here earlier. And excuse me, it's lovely to see you again, Kareem. Thank you so much for being here.
Well. Happy to be back.
And we hope to have you back on a regular basis soon.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to have
Very
you.
best of luck with everything, mate.
Yeah.
So there we are. And big congratulations to our prize winners. And
everyone's a winner.
Yeah, send us, if you want a prize, send us an email with your contact details where we can send your prize. And Kev, as I said, send us your T-shirt preference, whether the old design or the new design, on what size you would like. And we'll get all the prizes off to you as soon as we possibly can. And if, as Daz said, if you have already received a solar system poster from us, tell us which one so we don't duplicate it. All right, so that's it from Space Oddities for this evening.
There's just a quick message from Kev, just with an idea.
It's a really nice idea.
Actually,
add the year to the design and work on.
Oh, that's a good idea, Kev. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can collect them like Pokemon cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can turn them into collector's item. If we actually have printed on them the words collector's item.
Right.
You see?
Or just very rare.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes. So thank you for that idea, Kev. We'll give that some thought. I'm sure we're going to bring out a new one before too long. We're also looking into Space Oddities mouse mats. Daz is hot on the case with that one. And we also would like to get some baseball caps and other things done.
Yeah.
But we will keep you posted.
Don't expect any dates on the mouse mats.
All right. Sandra, it's our absolute pleasure. Thank you for supporting us all this time, and thank you for your generosity as well this evening. So, and everybody for their generosity. We've had a great time. We have been Space Oddities. Here's to the next 2 years where we will bring you the universe. By the way, just to finish, we did post 2 new videos on the channel at the weekend. One called What is a Solar Flare, and the other one called What is an Aurora? Trying to, pique people's interest in the sun and the aurora at the moment. So 2 introductory videos to solar flares and the aurora, respectively, which are on the channel. Don't sign them or they will lose value. Yeah, you're probably right. Ian. So there we are. All right, guys, we will be back at the same time next week. Next week, Michael's going to be telling us about the current state of the UK space program, what's going on with the spaceports and the launches and everything else. And as Derek suggested earlier, we may well have a quiz the week after, as we haven't had one in quite a long time. So from all of us at Space Oddities, look after each other, be kind, be good. If you can't be good, be average. And we will see you again here, same place, next week at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. EST. And thanks again to everybody for everything, basically, and especially the panel for putting up with me for the last 2 years. So
it's been a chore. It's been a chore.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. All right, guys.
Only because we're getting paid for it.
Yeah. All right, and we'll leave you the rest from all of us here at Space Oddities. Say good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
guys.
Thanks for joining us.